Yeah, hello everybody. This is episode 32, and this was a good old song of mine which was called Leave of Absence. It's a bit, when the summer is gone and yeah, the daylight is shorter kind of atmosphere. Anyway, in this episode I'm doing similar stuff like in the last one. We have a few mini heads here to A/B them and see what they sound like, and we have a bunch of hacks that you might know or probably you don't know. So a few of those things I kind of repeat, but we have done already 32 episodes, so some of you guys haven't actually seen that. And I try to combine the stuff in a way that you get a picture of what you can do with the AMP1. In the last episode, I had kind of easy hacks, and in this episode, I have a few more special hacks. Yeah. First, let me get started with a few special hacks. Okay. We know the AMP1 has 4 channels. Okay. Let me get rid of my delay from the song to simplify my whole setup. So what I was using was the AMP1 Mercury edition as usual when I play, and the Boss DD2 in the effects loop. We have a little, you know what? I'm using this. Sorry guys, this is the switching system. The noise comes from the switching system. We had that before. It is kind of input-output, and the switcher is maybe not the best. It is a kind of complex thing. Trust me, I will try to buy a new one. Maybe AMP or something like that. Now I'm going straight with the guitar into the amp and not with the switcher, because even when I was playing I could hear some kind of squeaky noise, which is not the amp, it's just the setup that is, too many cables with all these mini heads and the AMP1s. But we have to be quick when switching from one to another. That's why I use the switching system. But, okay, talking about heads, hacks, talking heads. You might know this beautiful kind of overlay thing that we've done for our test station that fits on the AMP1, that gives you instruction how to set up classic tones. And in this book you will find something that is called Customize Your AMP1, and it's called Boutique Tuning Individual Gain Structure. So that's the thing I want to talk now. The amp ships as it is, and it's the way that I play it. But maybe you have a different taste, maybe you have a different guitar, maybe you want different tones. So this is now how to modify the individual channels of the AMP1. And we do have a gain control that is inside the AMP1 that can be memorized with each channel. So this is kind of changing the gain structure of the amp. I can access the gain either with this remote one or via MIDI. Okay, this is an expert feature, and this expert feature you can find on our website. When you click to the products, there's a few things about features, blah, blah, blah. And then at the very end, there's expert features, or you click on the stream here below in the comments. We have a link that guides you directly to the website. And the other source of information is this beautiful booklet that also can be downloaded from our website. But let me show you what it is, and let me show you what you can do. First, I have my vintage channel, gain on 10, and some reverb. This is how it sounds. It is that kind of Mr. Blue, muddy, bluesy tone, which I love, because I like to dig in hard and kind of squeeze out the notes how I like them. So that's my tone. Okay, now I plug in the remote and I go for the vintage channel, and whoops, let me get my nice T over here. So the boost is switched on. Let me switch it off. So Powersoak is this feature here. I don't need the Powersoak yet, but that's the vintage channel. So now when I click on the boost, this starts to blink. And I can now use this control to reduce the volume. We have the vintage channel, and we have different type of gain. So if I put that in the middle, compared to all the way up, which is the normal position here. So this has more gain and it's brighter. And this is less bright and less gain. So that kind of gives you a nice woodier version of the same channel. It's not really different, but it's, yeah, you can fine tune it. So this is, compare it again, full. You know, sometimes it's just too much. And if I reduce the gain on the amp itself, it will be brighter, which gives you a voxier tone, which is also nice. So what I'm saying is you have like two options here. Reduce here or reduce here. Okay. So this setting here, let's say I like that. This can be stored into the AMP1 and it will be memorized in the AMP1, and yeah, it simply stays there. And you still can go back for the original all the way up gain structure. Okay, how to do that? This is your instruction. Okay, and it says press the boost button, and then when the reverb is blinking, press the reverb and it will be memorized. So press the boost button and then it's blinking. That's it. Now this setting here is inside the AMP1. Even if I disconnect the remote now, this AMP1 holds this setting here under something we call the low gain mode. So we have two modes. One mode is the standard mode, which has the full, and the low gain mode can be anything different that I put into the different channels. I can do the same thing for the next channel. I can switch, for instance, to the classic channel. I do the same procedure and can even go all the way down. We have a Dutch friend, Eric de Jong, who is Mr. Low Gain or Mr. Zero Gain, which is this all the way down. That's his favorite setting. You can find him on the Facebook group. And now I use a bit more gain from the boost, internal boost of of AMP1, but that's the classic channel on minimum gain. Full, minimum. So these low gain settings are always woodier and sound a bit more old school to my taste. But if you get this potential of customizing your AMP1, it is like, it could be like another amp. Sometimes people buy just another Marshall like myself because the one has a bit more woodier tone, and I can dial this in with a remote or via MIDI. And then I have a customized amp, and this is for every channel that's possible, okay? And these low gain sounds especially work well with boost pedals or any drive pedals. Why? Because there is more headroom, and you can fill that headroom with extra gain or extra drive. So I'm doing the same, and let me do this with a built-in boost here. So this is the classic channel now with gain full here, but in the low gain mode with less gain. Get the picture? I mean, I can do tons of different settings here, but I want you to experiment with that and find out maybe a new tone that you like, or maybe how to modify a channel that you didn't like so far, because it was just showing one direction and you wanted to have something else, you know? And that way you can tweak your amp to your personal demands. Okay, the next point is Powersoak. People always think AMP1 only sounds great when it's using the Powersoak function. Well, I tell you, I do have the remote and I'm not using the Powersoak. Not because I don't like Powersoak, but I believe it's not needed. So, okay, let's talk about the old school way of getting beautiful valve amps, tube amps, usable for home application. If you didn't have a Powersoak, it was simply not possible. And the other thing is, people invented mini heads or, you know, modern kind of lunchbox amps with less power, so you can actually have a little master volume and you don't go deaf, because the old school tube amps were designed to be loud enough to fill a big stage and even real halls, you know, big halls. That this is where the whole technology comes from. I still like the headroom of a high-powered amp if I want that, but on the other hand, I can live with less power. So maybe you are only familiar with the old school sounds, with old school amps, in the combination with the Powersoak. But I'm loving these sounds, and I'm doing these sounds even without Powersoak. So it's already in here without the Powersoak. Let me show you what I mean. If I have a, okay, let's go back for the classic setup again here. Classic channel full gain. So, all back to normal. I have the clean channel, okay? And that's pretty loud already because I'm on 6 here, and you could hear the feedback kind of coming here because this is like speaker cable into the guitar cable. So what I'm doing now is I crank the clean channel, then I boost it a little bit, and maybe I reduce the output of the BluBOX. So aha, you hear tons of reverb coming from here, from the amp. And what we get now is an overdriven power amp section. 10, 10, all the way up, okay? And that's the clean channel. Let me go back to like 6. So here you have the power amp saturation and zagging and all the effects that come with the fact that you're overdriving our nanotube power amp stage. And we spend a lot of time for all the details to get that power amp stage reacting, working, sounding, feeling the same way like the all-tube power amp stage from my beloved collection of amps, mainly Marshalls, and a few Fenders and a Vox and whatever. So, but anyway, so this is what happens on this master volume on the AMP1. If I would have a speaker connected now, well, I would kill your ears, I would kill the whole room. I mean, this is 100 and plus watts. I mean, this is 100 tube watts, and it's measured to be 180. Tons of too much power. So, but do we want that sound? If we want exactly that sound, we can do something. We dial in the Powersoak. Let me show you. On the remote. So just a bit over half, I have 7 watts now. And here's the same sound, just at lower volume. And now we have to be fair and switch the level of the amp again to normal. And this is now. So that's the Powersoak. Okay, explain the Powersoak even in more depth is like we have the speaker out connected to a speaker, and this is the best load, but you can even have it without a load. That's the beauty of our nanotube power amp design, that no load is required. So if we have many emails coming in, oh, I'm recording with the AMP1 and I use the master volume and the recording out straight for recordings or whatever, can I use the AMP1 without a speaker connected? Yes, you can. So this design is bulletproof for both applications, with or without a speaker. So simply unplug the speaker and you're fine. And you can use the saturation of the power amp by cranking the master volume here. So now imagine the case that you want that tone with a speaker but just less volume. then the Powersoak comes handy. Let me show you that this is 7 watts. I give you a bit more. You can feel there's more power, and this is like full power. So this kind of is the difference from the power amp side. Do we actually need it to have a good tone? No. I tell you why. Because I can get that sound, Powersoak, off, and I can get this is cranked, and is this sounding, is there anything missing? I don't miss anything. It's just like a nice, rich, overdriven, you know, tube amp sound, like ACDC style. And this is the recipe for that kind of sound. And to show you that this sounds also very, very similar on lower settings of the master volume, I put the sensitivity of the BluBOX up, which makes it way louder. You can hear that. And now I put the level on the master down. So this is master at 2. And there is no different tone or different coloration from 0 to 2. So all that kind of zagging and all that kind of extra weird power amp behavior came from 5 to 10, but not below. So this is a great this sounds like a hot-driven tube amp at 10. Yeah, but this is the 10 here and not the 10 here. Okay, maybe you get it now. It is like I have both options because I want it to be 100% authentic and I can use it if I want to. But on the other hand is no worries. If you want to get that rich tone, it's already in, let's say, the preamps. Because the power amp stage is rich sounding at any setting and adds some extra zagging and distortion or overdrive when it's on higher than 5 or whatever, you know, when it comes to its limits. And is this needed? I don't think so. Okay, so that's, for me, it's an important lesson about the question Powersoak. Do we need a Powersoak? Well, there is a Powersoak, but I personally couldn't play real tube amps without Powersoaks because I crank them all the time. I don't make a compromise. If I have a real Marshall, the power amp needs to be cranked, and that's way too loud for a modern situation. But I play my AMP1, get the same tone, and I don't need a Powersoak because the amp sounds just fine. Okay, that's the thing about the Powersoak. I think I read a question about 50 watt. We have a mode which is called a half power mode. And the half power mode is kind of getting this Powersoak into this position, which is kind of taming the power amp from 100 watt to 50 watts. The main reason for that is not tone. The main reason for that is protecting our 1x12 speaker cabinets. We have the nano cab, we have the fat cab, we have the twin cab. The twin cab handles 150 watts, so you can do whatever on 10, go play for days and everything is fine, no worries. But if you play the fat cab or the nano cab, some people are afraid to kill the speakers The truth is the speaker of the fat cap and the nano cap handles 60 watt continuous power over days, and they do handle 120 watt peak power, which means even if you put the thing on 10 and just play one chord, the speaker is not broken. If you play too loud, too long, then you can kill those speakers. And therefore, we came up with the half power mode. And this is fairly simple. You switch off the AMP1, press and hold this button here, which is I call it the channel select button. And while switching it on, you press it down, and then it's half power mode. That's it. And that's more a protection thing, but not a sound thing. Okay? Another thing that I have seen many times is it's a general thing, has nothing to do with AMP1, it's a general thing with any amp, is how to match sounds in volume and tone. Typical situation I've seen many times, you go and see one of those street festivals and there's a band and they play and there's whatever, a nice clean tone and it sounds killer, and then the guy switches to another channel, maybe overdrive, and then he's somewhere else, maybe totally lost. And the reason for that is the frequency spectrum changes too much and the volume level kind of changes too much. So what I do to dial in tones is something like I have some music, some other frequencies around my sounds when I dial in tones. So, you know what? I use my backing from the intro song, and then I just dial in a few channels here to give you an impression of how I match first frequencies and how I do match the volumes. So any particular song, doesn't matter. I just need some noise. I just need something that makes some noise. Let's stay with the same tune, who cares? So, another song, who cares? Where's my song? Ah. Maybe I should explain what I want. Let me try to get a classic clean tone for that. So, you know, I had this kind of super rich, overdriven setting, blues rock style, but I want a classic clean tone now on my clean channel. So, let me find that sound first. I probably go back and have the treble up on the clean tone on the side. That's kind of very nice and sparkling. That's the end of that. Okay, and let me see if that sound will actually make some sense in the music. Let me see. So this is like super sparkling. I could dial in less of the clean tone to get it a bit. Listen with the music. So My setting here is the clean tone, like not all the way up, which was my starting point, you know, because I was so excited about all this nice high end. I dialed it back a little bit, like to 1 o'clock, you know. So listen again, this is full up, all the way up. And that sounds exciting. And then I go back a little bit. The reason for that is now I'm more in the mix with the other instruments. And this is why I need the reference. Okay, so let's say that's my clean tone. Nice, okay. I will switch to the vintage channel now and see how I get the tone out of that and match the volume. So anyway, this was an easy one. I have no control for the vintage channel, so I know my setting, which is 5.5, in this case 4 today, is the one that I'm using. I just matched the volume, which is now actually on 5, and I do have the option of the boost or without a boost, and I like them both. Okay, now let's check what we are doing with the classic channel. Classic, first without the boost. Here we go. So, the classic channel was too loud. I mean, I can use that in a live situation to have like 2 different lead tones or 2 different overdrive tones. One that is louder for my Here I Am, my biggest solo of the night channel, and the other one is kind of the, yeah, I'm in the band channel. But to match the volume of this 2 channels, I would reduce the volume of classic. Middle position. This is less volume on the classic, and I believe this will be nicer. So I reduced the volume of the classic channel, and now I'm in the mix. If I change the EQ on the classic channel here, we will have a different tone. Let's check that out. And now I show you how that will sound with the backing track. you could hear that this extra high end and this kind of scooped mid-range takes away the presence in the mix. So I'm missing either volume or mids. But for me, I want the mids because I want my guitar to speak. If I would need like a sound that it's nice for a rhythm guitar that is like not too present and has this kind of bite, that would be a perfect setting. You know, switch from a Les Paul with that kind of setting. It will be a great sound for that guitar to make a rich, you know, chunky and aggressive rhythm tone. But in that case, I would use the vintage channel to be my solo tone because it has more woody frequencies, more mid-range that cuts through, that speaks. Okay? So EQ like this with that guitar doesn't work. I mean, you disappear in the mix. So that's the point here. And last but not least, we have the modern channel. Okay, let's see what this sounds. You know, this is not a bad sound. I'm not saying the sound is shit. This is just, you know, you need to know what to do with this. This would be the scoop mids kind of thing is great for a different style of tone. And in that case, I would use that as a rhythm tone. But with this kind of bluesy, you know, woody sound, yeah, you need the mid spec. Okay, I put in the mids again, which means I have to decrease the tone control counterclockwise. And so, and now the modern, that's the modern tone all the way up and the modern tone all the way close. Nice, warm and sweet, and I guess that's the thing with the Strat again for my music. Let's check that out. So I reduced again the volume of the modern channel to be in the mix. And this was counterclockwise for my solo-ish sound. But yeah, you can use the same channel, the modern channel, with a different tone setting here as a rhythm channel again. And then you need a different volume channel. But you could see me flick through the different channels. You maybe do play one note here and then, you know, just listen against the backing track to see that you are still in the mix. That's a good preparation, and it needs to be done again with the real band because this is a studio production that is, yeah, has a certain frequency range, but when you go into the real life situation with your band, you probably should double check that. But this is a good starting point. If you don't do the setup of your sounds with any other noise like your band or your backing track, you're not going nowhere. So this is my hack. Please check your tones with some backing tracks. Okay. ACDC just released a new album. Okay, let me bring you back to the ACDC tones. I already had a full episode on ACDC, and I showed you that the super authentic sounds you could actually do with the clean channel and the boost. And I beat this versus my whatever 1967 Black Flag 100-watt Marshall with the old unmodified signal path. And that sounds pretty good with the SG, of course. So that's one way of going there. But the other way of going there is using the vintage channel or the classic channel, maybe with this kind of low gain mode that I showed you earlier. Because maybe you play in a top 40 band and you still need that kind of sparkly clean tone, which is still here. You know? And then using the clean channel for the ACDC tone is not the option anymore. No problem, we have the choice. So then you dial in the vintage channel, you get rid of the boost because ACDC is not about boost. ACDC is about pure punch and not too much gain. So boost is not needed in the vintage channel. So I mean, with the Strat, you're almost there anyhow. But let's use a Les Paul. Whoa. Some humbucker guitar, so we are closer. Oops. This is now the vintage channel gain on 5, and that's always a good setting with a up. This was not all the way up. Yeah. And with Les Paul, I probably go treble on 5. So this is 5, 5, 5. With a Strat, I was like only on 4, but this is like. And there's your ACDC tone, nothing special. 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. And the reverb just to make you feel you play a stadium, but you wouldn't use that if you are in a real ACDC situation with a band. And this is it. Yeah. In case you have your guitar sounds like it needs less treble, then you go for the low gain mode and you will have the same sound just with more wood and less bite. So we have the option with the low gain mode and this kind of custom tuning. We are still plugged in. Let me show you. So here we go. I go for the boost and reduce this. So I have less here and I use a little bit more drive from here. So maybe this sounds even more authentic to you. Just let us compare so you know what the difference is. I go back for normal and I go back to 5 here. I have about the same amount of gain, but more highs. okay? So you can go authentic all the way with this. And by the way, that setting here is already in your AMP1 Mercury edition under what I call the low gain mode, which is easy to access. When the unit is off, you press and hold the boost button, the middle button, and you hold that while switching it on and you are automatically there. So your vintage channel will have this a little less gain internally, and then you are even closer to that. Okay, you can do the same thing with the classic channel, and just for fun, I go here. That's pretty gainy. I can have less gain here. Or I leave it at 5 and have a little low gain mode here. And then, if I want more gain, I still have the boost. And so we have so many options to get to different, let's describe it as authentic tones. And of course, this depends on what your layout should be. If you want to have a one channel setup, hey, then you can dial it in on any channel and have it set there. Forget, this is ACDC. They don't have 2 channels. But I know our reality is top 40 guys, and you play long train running, and you need that sparkly clean tone, and then you have to go for the ACDC. And that needs to be another sound or another preset or another channel. And there is your option. Okay? There is another question that I had a couple of times, which was, can I use the 2 speaker outputs on the AMP1? Well, in the instruction manual, it says no, and that's kind of correct. But this is what you can do. If you have a real full stack with 2 16-ohm speaker cabinets, you can use the 2 in parallel. And that works. You can also use the 2, but then you are risking the internal protection circuit to cut the signal in case you have not enough impedance, because you have to think of this is kind of in parallel. So if you have a 16-ohm cabinet and another 16-ohm cabinet, it would make 8. If you have 8-ohm cabinet and another 8-ohm cabinet, it makes 4. And 4 is not enough impedance to have the AMP1 cranked. So only for bedroom purposes, you know, and jazz level performances, you can use the 2 speaker outputs anyway, no complaints, no damage. But if you if you want a solid rig, you have to be precise about the ohmage, about the load, and use the right output on the AMP1. Okay? Yeah, and the last thing, I just to repeat it again and again, is if your low end feels too muddy, you need less bass, and this can be achieved from either a tube screamer, the nice yellow frog here. Let's get it plugged in. One of these, or you can use one of those EQ pedals to tighten up the low end with less bass, And that works kind for any amplifier. It's a way to make the sounds tighter. I know modern sounds need sometimes a lot of gain, and then to get it tighter, less lows before the overdrive section, before the amp input. So I think that was about my points that I had on my list to tell you. I probably look into mini heads. Yeah, but we have thousands of questions. Okay, let's do the mini heads first, because last time we had not much time to do mini heads. So I need, wait a minute, I lost one cable here. There's one cable that just... Yeah, okay, Les Paul. Today we do have a bunch of different mini heads. The one that is still plugged in here is the Peavey. Let's start with the Peavey then. The Peavey is, yeah, the 6505 mini head is a 20 watt amp, and this should be on 4. Okay, I have to get... No, this is already on high. Yeah. Yeah, that's the killer tone of this amp. The level... Yeah, that's the problem about the switching system again. So this is about it. And this is almost about the volume here. So this is the clean channel. It's a nice clean channel. Let's see how we get the clean channel with our AMP1 Mercury first. Yeah, this is way bigger sounding. The Peavey has not enough, or not less bass. So I would use less volume here. Peavey has a ton more telephone. Okay, I make it short. It's a nice clean tone, but I like ours better. This is us, and this is the Peavey. But this amp is not famous for its killer clean tone. No, it's a killer overdrive amp. So, and this is where it's getting hot. So clean goes, this was using the bright switch already, and there's crunch mode. But I'm more fascinated about the lead sound. Here we go. Yeah, That's a great sound, you know. Okay, nice. Let's try the Mercury edition first. Bam, here we go. We need a... Oops, way too loud. We need... Ouch. We need a tone. I try with the classic first, but I know it will not work. But just to show you how that sounds. Okay, that's not exactly the same, but it's similar. Just to give you the settings, that's kind of interesting. The bass is on 3, and the middle is on 10, and the treble is on 10. So that's maybe, you know, the Peavey, you would not usually dial in this kind of setting here, but I mean, you can hear it. AB, this is AB. Well, AMP4 is this gentleman, and AMP1 is this gentleman. Okay, you see, it's still not 100%, but to get in that kind of territory, treble, middle 4, bass on 3, and the classic tone control was actually closed counterclockwise. Nice, no? Who would expect that? But let's try the modern channel just for fun. Yeah, okay. This is kind of slightly different, but in the same direction. Tons of mids all the way up. I reduced the treble a little bit, and I do have the what is it, the modern tone, like in middle position. Yeah, that's just an idea how to get there. Okay, so this was the 6105. Great amp. And thanks to Christian Konrad, who borrowed me his amp. So, switch off. There is the Ibanez. And we, of course, have to use the speaker load. I missed the Iridium, actually, because the Iridium is probably closer to the 6105. Man, let's go back for a sec. Just real quick one. So we are back. So 6505 is on 4 here. This was our AMP1, and now we go to the Iridium, which is, okay, not even in overdrive. Okay, that's kind of close, maybe even closer. Gain on 7, bass on 2 or maybe 3, 2.5, mids all the way up to 10. Something is about Peavey is mids. And then we have the treble on 6. And on the modern channel, the tone was all the way closed. Okay, kind of interesting. So yeah, I think the Iridium is more towards that amp by nature, and yeah, still interesting is use the mids. This is what this amp is about. Okay. Now we go for the Ibanez. Ibanez. This is the TSA 15H, which is probably 15 watt. Let's see how this gentleman. Clean, 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 and it's a nice and rich. So this is maximum volume. Tube screamer is off, and this is how it sounds. Nice. I would say like a pedal platform amp. Let's try the AMP1 again. I mean the Mercury edition. It's less sparkle. to me, that's a pretty normal setting. This is like bass. Bass. Yeah, okay. Bass on 5, middle on 5, treble on 6. And I use the tone control all the way down, which means not too much sparkle. And the boost on. Yeah, that's the TSA 15H, and it has a boost mode, which is the boutique kind of thing where, sorry, this is like, I boost the whole thing so it breaks up nicely. That's pretty nice, I like it. Let me see how I get there with the AMP1. Yeah, this is just more volume. So the whole thing is, the boost is a volume boost here, and we are... That's the Ibanez. And this is us. Yeah, I think it's, you know, pretty similar thing. And then there's a built-in tube screamer. Well, I have a tube screamer here. There's a built-in tube screamer. There's no magic. Maybe this is the even better one. But we know what a tube screamer sounds like. It's that kind of mid-rangey thing. I'm not into the tube screamer on that AMP1, even if it's an Ibanez tube screamer amp. I like it better without the tube screamer and use it for beautiful other pedals. Okay, anyway, that's a great pedal platform amp with a great clean tone, with a nice breakup. Okay, and then last but not least, we have the Blackstar. Let's check this one. And this goes 1 times 16 ohms. So, and that's a nice amp because I know it. The HT-5 is a 5-watt amp, which means it's a great amp to record with. It has a built-in Powersoak, and it has a silent function too. So when I on the back you can see, is it silent? Emulated outputs, headphone. Connect speakers before use. Wait a minute, okay. The Peavey was silent recording. The Blackstar, actually I'm not sure anymore. Doesn't matter. It's a killer amp tone-wise. Let's check the tone. And switch it on here. Clean channel. Coming from the Ibanez, maybe the clean sound is not so exciting, but you know, British amps are usually not famous for the clean tones anyway. This is the full 5 watts. I mean, breaks up nicely. I think it's not so exciting. Let's go for the overdrive channel because this is where it's at. Yeah, cleans up, it's rich, it's like... Nice, and it got some reverb built in. Okay, so nice sound. Okay. Let me try with whatever. Gain full, and then maybe AMP1 Mercury first. This is more Mercury sound. Oops, that's too loud. Vintage. Well, as you can see, this is nothing. This is actually the vintage channel on 10, bass in the middle 5, middle about 6, and treble about 5. And since there is no custom control for vintage, we are already there. So, and of course, this is cleaning up, and this one is also cleaning up. The Blackstar. And what? I come closer with a little bit of boost, but not as much gain as I had. There's a little difference. Yeah, both great. And as you can see, this is kind of a very standard setting. It's more about if the guitar is too hot with the boost. I like a little boost to come closer to this one. It sounds, it feels, yeah, more similar. Hey, so this was a lot of A/B comparisons in in fast forward version, and we still have tons of questions. Oh my God! stand by here. Let's check the questions. Mr. Hidde Rotenburg, is the book included with the AMP1? I think it isn't. The book, you're talking about the instruction manual. You are talking about the book which I showed you here. No, this book is not included. This is the book that you find on our test stations in the shops. And we have a book that comes for the Mercury edition, and we have a book that comes for the Iridium edition. You can download both on our website. We have some links below. And I think in the worst case, we can even sell the books from our online store. So that's the thing about these books. But for you guys, we also have an instruction manual that comes with the amp that has beautiful settings as well. So there is a lot of stuff you can try out. Let me show you the instruction manual. And that's a book by itself. And here you can see the philosophy about the clean tones and the overdrive tones and how to dial in the gain and how to dial in the custom controls and how to use the tone control. It's worth reading. I mean, maybe you think, oh, I've seen it. No, read it again and you will find some inspiration for the AMP1 and for actually other amps as well. So it's always good to read the book. Read books. So next question. William Lee, how do you compare the difference of BluGuitar AMP1 and Taurus Stomp-Head? The Taurus Stomp-Head is, I think, a Polish pedal amp as well. I know the guys, very nice people, and I would say it probably sits in between the two of these amps. I believe we have more power. I believe we have a bit more vintagey quality. It's hard for me to tell. And I'm not saying anything bad about other products. Try them out. What I'm saying is, I think our technology with the nanotube is a bit closer to the real deal tube amps than what they are doing. But they make great products and they offer some nice sounds. If you like the sounds, go ahead and buy them. I mean, guitar amps is about sounds. If you like a sound, it makes it happy, then it's your sound and it's your instrument, and that's it. Okay, next question. Mr. Slot Dimitar, are the 16 ohm and 8 ohm output connected in parallel? Internally, yes, but they do have switches inside. So when you are using both speaker outs on AMP1, they are in parallel. But on the sockets, there are little switches that change the power amp, blah, blah, blah. So please use them in parallel. Impedance thinking, knowing that 16 ohm cabinets will make it work. 8 ohm cabinets will not have enough load for it, as I explained earlier. And then you can use both outputs on the AMP1. For speakers. Sven Becker, hey Thomas, is there a tone difference regarding the channel master and the main master, or is it just the different positions in the signal change after the gain stage? You are right, it is just the difference position in the stuff, so it has no real effect on tone. This is dialing in level, this is dialing in level, and it's not like you're getting a super different sound when you crank the clean, the overdrive master and keep the master low. There is a little side effect on when the signal is very high here. You can kind of saturate the stage with the tone control when this is kind of everything on full. But hey, that's esoteric little differences, forget about it. general rule is the master and the overdrive master are level controls and they have no influence in tone. Okay? Next question. Recently you had a 2-minute video with Stevie Ray Vaughan sound. Yeah. What were the settings? Man, you have to watch the video again. I forgot about it. I remember kind of, I used the clean channel probably, and I used the boost. You know, those classic sounds, they come alive when you have tons of volume and the boost. Or you use the vintage channel, because the vintage channel is going into that direction as well. Yeah, I hope you can stop the video and see the settings. If not, you have to go back to one of the live streams, Academy of Tone, where I was explaining about Stevie Ray Vaughan settings, because I think the 2 minutes video was just an excerpt, just a little snippet from that huge, long 2-hour video where I talked about Stevie Ray Vaughan sounds. And then when you watch the whole episode, you might see the exact settings. We are looking for the number. Maybe we find. If not, you have to do the research. It's about 20 something. Do we have any guesses? Hey, check for Academy of Tone, Stevie Ray Vaughan somewhere. You will find it. Okay, next question. Hi, from our dealer, from our local dealer, which is 6 and 4 in Sulzbach, Germany, and they are so friendly. They borrowed me this amp so I can show it to you guys. And if you want to play exactly that same amp, tomorrow afternoon it will be back in the store at 6 and 4 in Sulzbach. And if you liked it so much, you can actually buy it. Okay. So I have another question. LO, I have your tube squasher signature pedal. Gain is reduced with the level and drive knobs below 5. Is that normal? Wait a minute. Gain is reduced with level and drive knobs below 5. Yes, that's normal, because the tube squasher is over here. Maybe I can show you. Over golden brownie tube squasher. Here it goes. And as you can see, my last setting is drive full and level kind of in the middle to be on a unity volume. So that's normal. This pedal is a low gain drive pedal that's more like similar to a tube screamer, but different in a way that this is a diode clipping circuit and this is a transistor clipping circuit. I believe this is it is a bit more compressed, but it's not as controlled as the tube screamer, and I like it because it's more alive versus a tube screamer. They're both great for different things. This gives you more control, this gives you more character, but drive it hard. And then you get this kind of very compressed, squashed, almost like a Tweed, like my Tweed Deluxe amp sound. But it needs to be cranked. So when everything is below 5, the volume level is lower. That's normal. Okay, next question. Rocky Horror. Jetzt packst du, in German, alle deine geilen Sounds inklusive Cabinets fertig programmiert und ready to use in dein neues Pedal, please. Okay, I translate to English. Now you pack all these great sounds, including cabinets, ready or fully programmed in my new pedal, please. Yeah, that's the plan. This is the plan for AMPX. and we're working on it, and we are making progress, but it's very, very complex and very, very detailed, and we will do it right. So therefore, no rush and stay tuned. We are working on it. Okay, how can I get a GCM 800 sound? Well, it's fairly easy. You get the classic channel, and there is your GCM 800. Yeah, basically the classic is very, very much GCM 800. You know, the 800s vary a little bit, but this is, yeah, that's easy answer. Okay, William Lee, next. Thomas, I am really great fan since you produced AMP1. Also, I wonder why your Strat with single coil split doesn't hum when you turn it into a high gain channel. Aha. Also, can you show us how to make and install a dummy coil on a single coil guitar? Can you make a comparison of different brands of pedal tube amp with AMP1, Mercury and Iridium? Oh my God, this is 5 questions. And you know, the Taurus, the Victory amps, Black Spirit, and so on. Okay, let's start with a dummy coil. Okay, dummy coil meets Stratocaster. Let's go back for the Strat. This is my Strat, and this is the noise I get from the Strat. And this is how it changes with a dummy coil. But you know what? Let me do a full episode on that one. I already did some stuff in the very early episodes of the Academy of Tone. I think my Strat Secrets or something like number 3 or whatever. So we have a few bits of information already. But okay, maybe I make a full episode one day, which will be a long one, where I install the dummy coil, explain all the differences and stuff like that. Okay, next question here. Hollywood actress. I have a question, and I hope to tune in for the live event. Live event on Saturday. Live event on Saturday is the Guitar Summit. And the Guitar Summit is this year, unfortunately, it's not live. It's online live. And it starts noon, which is 12 o'clock Central European German time. And there's a few things that I have done for the Guitar Summit, so you can actually see me demonstrate things about the AMP1, and there's stuff that we've done with vintage guitars from number 1 I was involved in, and there was another video. Just watch the whole thing on the Guitar Summit. It's the first time they do this ever, and they're working their ass off to be ready for Saturday, midday, 12 o'clock, you know, at lunchtime. Okay. Next question is, please hurry on AMPX. Okay, this is called BluGuitar AMPX. Okay, I am saving my dollars for BluGuitar AMPX, and this will be on my list. Yeah, coming out 21. Love the blue. Really want one. Okay, you wish it would be stereo power and 2 times 50 watts. Will there be an option for a 2 amp stereo sound on the AMPX? Yes, the AMPX has a built-in power amp which delivers officially 100 watt, but actually I have seen 250 watts on a scope. So it is louder than anything you ever imagined. So power is not an issue. And it has an output that you can connect to another power amp stage, so you can make this a stereo setup. So no worries, AMPX is capable of doing stereo setups. Okay, Jimmy Lockhart, could you talk about the fine-tuning of the channels on the side panel? I'm guessing volume adjustments per channel, and on tone trim puts, does it change the mid-center point? Okay, I'm talking about it. The concept here was that I found there are different characters. The characters of tone controls in different amps. And this goes all back to my love for Marshall amps. You know, Marshall, another Marshall, and the next Marshall, and another Marshall, and 10 Marshalls in my collections, or even 15. Don't ask me, I have too many. And some of the tone stacks, like on the GCM 800, are different from the tone stacks they used in the mid-60s and earlier amps. And the tone stacks actually were forming the basic sound character of the amps. So what I've done on the AMP1 is I kind of have internal tone stacks, one on each side of the trim pod. So there's kind of a vintage tone stack, which I dialed in a certain character of tone, and there is another more modern tone stack on the other side of the trim pod. And I can blend between the two tone stack worlds. And that's the concept of these tone controls on the side, what we are calling custom controls. So it's basically giving you two kind of characters. And it's not just one frequency. It is everything shifts a little bit. The bass is lower and the mids are, you know, at a different place, and the treble, it is a different complex frequency spectrum on each side. It's not just like more highs. That's the treble control here, or the mid control here. So the complexity is there, but I try to reduce it to kind of nice sounds that already work in a way, and then another nice side on a sound on the other side. So that's the idea behind these. So the question is, oh, my keys. This is our little baby that sits in the company. And this is, as you can see, a lunchbox amp that is a French product from the 50s. So, you know, the format of lunchbox amps is even older than myself. And this one holds two 6L6 tubes, and it's kind of almost 50 watts. And look, it looks cool. And when I was a teenager, I had one, a German one from Siemens, with only two EL84s. So this was called the Siemens Tischverstärker, which was actually from a church. And Tischverstärker, Tisch means table. Yeah, and they wrote this on this amp. So I had a Tischverstärker. This is a good name for an amp. Maybe Reinhard Holt-Bogner can get one of these names. This is the French equivalent. There's some kind of here pickup micro. The brand is Bouyer. I mean, if you would do hip hop, this would be a Bouyer amp, okay? And here is the haut-parleur, the loudspeaker, very French, and they have 4, 8, 15 ohms. Back in the days, they had 15 ohms, not 16 ohms. Remember when you look for the old Celestion speakers, 15 ohms. Well, who cares about 1 ohm? That's bullshit anyhow. And then they have these kind of 250 and 500. I think this was for a PA system in church, so flexible kind of thing. Yeah, anyway, this is our nice Bouyer amplifier. Okay, more questions. Hidde Rodenburg. Again, maybe it is a cool idea to show the AMP1 with an EQ pedal. Yes, that's a cool idea. I saved that for another show. EQ pedal is giving you even more options to shape the tone. And you can have an EQ pedal in the effects loop, kind of the Mesa Mark V style, you know, or the Mark II had already EQs as an option. I'm not sure if it's really needed, but hey, it's a creative tool to create some outstanding different tones, and it's yeah, it would be great. And you could have another EQ pedal in front of the amp, so there's even more stuff you can do with the AMP1. So yeah, EQ pedal. Next question from Geordie Berry. Name 3 things that you've practiced on the guitar that has mostly developed your skills in blues. Oops, that's a total different question. In blues, let me tell you blues to me is the thing about phrasing. So, you know, if I think about technique on guitar, you think about runs, where you play notes up and down the neck, and you play scales, and you play sequences and stuff. But when it goes to blues, it is something totally different. When it goes to blues, to me, fuck the sequences. It's, you know, you don't show off by showing how many notes you can play. It is more like the phrasing. B.B. King. Kings. Listen to the 3 kings. Albert King, Freddie King, B.B. King. And maybe Freddie King is my king. Okay? Because this is where Jimi Hendrix got his shit from. And this is all about phrasing. And the other thing is, playing the blues is more a state of mind than a technical exercise. You know, like, yeah, Muddy Waters. I'm a man. You know, this is more like, who cares what scale or what sequence you can play? There is no sequence. This is about a stomping beat and a cool phrasing and a good story and having the emotion of the blues. So this is what you should practice or live. I mean, the blues is nothing, it's something you have to do. You have to be open to get that kind of atmosphere, emotion, connect to the blues. Blues is a state of mind and not a scale thing, you know. And okay, you can play chords and scales of blues, but I think the roots of blues are so powerful, you know. I mean, sometimes even Yngwie Malmsteen plays some fast shit over blues. Yeah, but this is not. I mean, it's impressive, and it's maybe also nice to hear a blues with some fast stuff on it. But when it comes to the roots of blues, it is about phrasing, meaning, and celebrating the blues. And if you know your 5 notes, bend them and do whatever you can do with them, and this is what you should do to practice the blues. Okay, that's the blues. Maybe we should do a full episode on the blues, because that's, I think, a very important style in music that is a foundation for a lot of rock and a lot of other genres of music. And sometimes people, including myself, think, oh, you know, blues, just 5 notes, next please, you know, turn the page, next chapter. Sorry guys, the simple stuff is deep, and this is where it's at. Okay, we make an episode about the blues one day, and I probably get a Telecaster for that. Okay, do you use the Powerstrip on your flying board to power the pedals and the AMP1? The fly rig board. I have, let's put it that way, my smallest pedal board, which is in the other room, I have a very simple setup. I have the AMP1 and I have a power supply with a distribution with DC-DC couplers, which gives me like one bigger plug to the wall, what is it called? The power supplies that go straight into the wall, which gives me 2 amperes of whatever, 12 volts DC, sorry. And then on the other side, I have a distribution with DC-DC couplers that gives me separate outputs, so I'm not running into hum problems. So that's the one thing that I will plug in, and I can change that power supply when I go to different countries. So for the US, I have that kind of power supply with a US plug, and here in Europe I have another power supply, same style but with a different plug. So I choose the right power supply, and then I have the mains cable for the AMP1, and that's it. And I don't need a power strip, so I need 2 power outlets to make my pedal board, my fly rig work. My big pedal board, I made my own power supply that caters every pedal on my pedal board, and even the AMP1. So I have only 1 power inlet, and that's all. So power for the pedal board, speaker and guitar, and everything else is already on the pedal board and no power strip needed. That's the way I've done it. Wow, more questions. Bernhard Dünks, AMPX stereo setups with 2 preamps? No. So the AMPX is a 1-channel amplifier, but this 1 channel can be anything. So we don't have 2 amps in AMPX. We do have stereo effects, yes, but we have only like 1 amp and 1 power amp. It's easy to have another power amp connected to the whole thing, but to have another preamp, you have to buy 2 AMPXs. Killer. But who needs it? Maybe you need it. I won't need it. Because the preamps or the amps that are inside and the pedals are so powerful already, I can't see myself missing any of that stuff unless you're totally crazy. You know, it's just 1 good amp that is even better than 2 bad amps. I mean, 2 bad amps, that should be a joke. I mean, yeah. If you have the right amp, it's more puristic. It's like, do we really need 5 microphones to pick up a cabinet? If you have 1 right microphone or 1 great guitar like myself, I can do it with 1 and have more character. That's my philosophy, at least mine. Okay, Sven Becker, could you recommend a low-budget wireless system? Kind of yes, because I was involved in, I've got it downstairs, the XVive, what is it called? You know, the wireless system of them. And this system is super affordable. It's probably one of the cheapest U2 wireless system. I help them to make the audio quality as good as possible, the noise as low as possible. There are better quality systems, but at 5 times, 10 times the price. And compared to the Line 6 stuff, I think they have a bit better reach. I'm not saying the Line 6 is bad, but I played with the Line 6 and I was walking in the room and I had dropouts already. And I played with the XVive U2 and I had bigger stages and I had less dropouts or no dropouts, at least at 2-3 gigs where I actually used it. And the good thing about wireless systems, I've done sound check at the mixing desk at the front of house place where the mix engineer is, so I can hear like it sounds for the audience, and I could compare my guitar playing and using the wireless. Of course, I was in the band, I was not on stage, but I could hear how it really sounds in the room. And this is where I noticed that I don't want to mic up my cabinet anymore. The BluBOX is so much better. I've had this kind of experience, and this was due to the wireless, because I was sitting behind the desk listening to what people hear. Okay, that's my recommendation for a cheap wireless. Ruler of Justice, thanks. So the outs on the AMPX, again, will be stereo. Also, to clarify, you can run the AMPX into a return of another amp. Yes, sure. And it will be stereo. Yes. Writing the manual for the AMPX, which I'm doing, I think it's like, how many cases? I think like 12 or 15 cases how you can use AMPX. Mono, stereo, wet, dry, wet, full range speaker, guitar speaker only, mixture of anything. And if you do the whole thing, it multiplied, it's, I don't know, 12, 15 cases. Chapter after chapter after chapter, all possible. So no worries, stay tuned, it's possible. Next question, a crooked cycle. What are the Stratking's thoughts on Jazzmasters? Okay, the Stratking, he's meaning me, Jazzmaster. Jazzmaster is a, let's call it characterful guitar, and I'm so connected with the Stratocaster that a Jaguar and a Jazzmaster never became my guitar. If you are into surf music or into something specific or indie rock, go for one of those, because a Strat is very mainstreamy in a way. The old farts always played Strats, and the Strats are not so special. If you play a Jazzmaster, you are different. So, and they have their own identity. If you are into that, do it. For me, the bridge system and the whole thing is not, and all the switching. I like the Strat because of the 5-way switch, because of the tremolo and how it is. And I grew up with that guitar, so for me it's too late anyhow. But you should go for your Jazzmaster. Okay, Jens Geilich. Perhaps Thomas has experience with the Ironman. Ironman was Laney, correct? If you mean that. I know what it is. Maybe I bring it in to another episode. Okay, good idea. Put it on the list. Mick Rose, hi Thomas. Why don't you use active pickups? For example, to avoid external disturbing capacities. So, here's the story about me and active pickups. Me being the vintage nerd, I became good friends with a guy from EMG Pickups. I forgot his name, this goes back 15 years ago, and he was actually a fan of mine. He was listening to my Electric Gallery record, and then he was so excited he forgot about what time it is here in Germany. He called me in the middle of the night, and he loved my music. And he played it over the stereo and listened to what you played here. And I love it. Okay, EMG pickups. And then, of course, I met him again at another trade show, and he gave me a classic voiced David Gilmour set, because David Gilmour is my hero. So I had the Gilmour set active pickups. And there is something about active pickups that I don't like. They are, I wouldn't say too perfect, but they are missing some of this, you know, this guitar is made from wood which is not perfect. You know, this kind of gives it a character. And so I would say most active pickups for my music, I'm just talking about me, the blues rock player, and not the metal guy, active pickups are too balanced, too perfect, and thereby lacking some of that things that I have to deal with to create a better tone. And that kind of forces me to make my tone playing. So it is kind of an obstacle that I have to go in a fight situation. And that's the beauty of passive pickups. And there's some magic of high-end sparkle when I put this direction. I just recently discovered all the nuances you get from a PAF humbucker and a Les Paul, and how important those passive capacitors are. And it's endless. It's all the colors of a rainbow. I'm starting to rave about stuff like this, but you put this back from 10 to 7 in here, and the whole spectrum changes and the whole feel changes. And active pickups, to me, they kind of capture one of the settings, and when that's the perfect setting for you, go for it, it's fine. But I kind of like to twiddle a little bit with the knob here, and then change the tone and work with this kind of new character that the passive pickup gives me, because passive is way more sensitive and it requires more work to get a good tone. But that challenge makes me makes me deliver better tone. It's schizophrenic, but this is how it is. Electrical worse pickup challenges me to be the guy that gets a better tone out of it, and that's what in the end what's make a better tone, me playing that. If I would be a metal guy, that would be a different story, because you want to have a more consistent signal, and you focus on different things. So I'm not saying active pickups are not good. No, active pickups are a different kind of animal, and these pickups can be beautiful for different applications, but just not for my personal. Oh man, even more questions. Osmium Studios, have you seen Glenn Fricker video about tubes? Any comments? Actually, no, I should see that. I have seen his Marshall video where he smashes the Marshall out of the window. And I like Glenn Fricker because he is so honest, and he, you know, Glenn is Glenn. I checked the video about tubes then. Okay, thanks for the input. Sven Becker, any job offers for electrical engineer at BluGuitar? Well, we are kind of complete at this moment. If we have some programmer guys, digital engineer, we would have a project or two for you. Standard electrical engineer, no, we are complete. Sorry. Okay, next. Hachi, I can't read that. Edajima. Maybe you're Japanese, And this is this translation. Okay. Play Ritchie Blackmore solo Child in Time live. Yes. Nice solo. I really love Ritchie Blackmore and I like that solo a lot. And Blackmore is a huge influence and a big character. And what he was playing in this Made in Japan record, it's still unbeatable in a way. I mean, we have seen many people copying the solo or their music, but the energy of the whole band and what he's playing is outstanding. I mean, this is just pure good rock music, period. And there is no better, there is only different. And this is capturing the beauty of rock music. The Purple Made in Japan killer album. Unbelievable. Okay, Heath Ola. What website can somebody in the US purchase a BluGuitar t-shirt? That's a big problem because we don't have any BluGuitar t-shirts now in the US. Actually, that's a good point. We should think about making that possible. If you write us an email, something like service@bluguitar.com, asking for a t-shirt with your address, let us see if we can make this happen for you. Usually we brought some t-shirts to NAMM show, to the US or to Summer NAMM, and now with no shows we have no t-shirts because we have no stock of t-shirts in the US. Let me think about it, send me an email, and we try to figure out a ways that we make you happy, guys. And also let us know the size. If you are medium, large, XL, or whatever size. Let's see if we can do that for you. Okay. Where are the BluGuitar Easy Locks be available in the United States? At Sweetwater, for instance. Sweetwater, everybody knows it, is a big online store in the US and they should have the Easy Locks. Okay, next question. Alex, guitar fan. Hi Thomas, I just wondered which channel you used when you were using the TriAmp a lot. The TriAmp, TriAmp is somewhere in another building. Yeah. I mainly used the, what was it? 2A, which is kind of this vintage channel here, this kind of world, and the 3A channel. These were my favorite channels on the TriAmp Mark II, 2A and 3A. But it's like with the AMP1, I kind of use all the channels, but here again, it's the vintage channel and the classic channel and sometimes the modern channel, but in kind of that order. First priority for me is the vintage channel, then the classic channel, then the modern channel. And the same was on the TriAmp. Next one, Raoul Haberhauer. Okay, can you do a Geordie Walker tone? Geordie Walker. If Geordie is the guy from Killing Joke, right? I mean, if we're talking now about the same guy, and I'm a big fan of Killing Joke. Killing Joke was a band from the 80s, late 80s, when I was a teenager. Love Like Blood was one of their hits, and I was so excited I was even dancing to that music. And Geordie has a gold ES whatever, 275, 295, some this kind of Elvis guitar player, Gibson semi-hollow body guitar, and he plays 2 AMP1s and a chorus, and he plays the old ones, the silver edition or the no edition, the first generation, and that's Geordie Walker. Yeah, unbelievable. Okay, Last question, Matt F. Hi Thomas, what do you recommend for playing AMP1 at home? Straight into cabinet, or do I need the BluBOX to get those great tones? You don't need a BluBOX. I mean, if you do have a cabinet, especially if you have one that sounds good at low volume, like our Nano Cap, but you know, a cabinet with a greenback would also do the job. So this kind of a cabinet at home, plug in the AMP1 speaker out to that kind of cabinet. That's what I do personally here at home, and I'm totally happy. If you have a speaker that only sounds good at high volume, the sound will be too fizzy, and that's not fun. If you have a full range, whatever, studio monitor system, you can use the record out from the AMP1, or then, if you want to go all the way, use the BluBOX, which that makes a lot of sense. This is, by the way, what you hear all the time when I use the studio monitor. But for me at home, I just go with a regular Nano Cap because it's so small and it sounds killer on living room volume. Okay, the very, very last question I can see on the screen here is a crooked cycle again. How would you, a Marshall fan, yes, set up the AMP1 to get a John Mayer type edge of breakup Fender blackface tone? Well, I'm a blackface lover as well. I do have a couple of blackface amps next room. You've seen my basement, and there's a super reverb and there is a twin reverb. So I have 3 Fender blackfaces. Very simple answer. Use the clean channel, go from 7, or let's put, depends on guitars, from 5 to 10, basically. And that's where the edge of breakup, and use the boost. I found the best tones for that breakup is use the internal boost, experiment with the sounds, but for instance, start with clean volume on 5, use the boost, middle position, like, and then maybe crank the boost to maximum, see how that sounds, and then go another direction, get the boost to a middle position again and crank the clean volume, because the clean volume on the AMP1 is like the volume on your Fender amp, which cranks the Fender amp, which is what John Mayer is doing. So that's the blackface recipe. Oh, I think that's enough questions for today. Thanks for joining in again. Maybe you join in on the Guitar Summit on this weekend and see many exhibitors and people and interviews and some of the stuff that I was involved in. I hope next year there will be a physical gathering of people again, and there will be a real Guitar Summit and a real NAMM show. Unfortunately, we have no NAMM show in January. That's known already, but maybe there's one mid-year in Nashville, the Summer NAMM. So I'm really looking forward to real shows again and real live playing. Man, it's such a pity I can't play. So whenever it's possible to play again, I'm all up for that. So guys, stay tuned. See you soon, latest next week on this channel. And by the way, I always forget that you can actually subscribe to the channel. There is the usual shit, you know, the bell button and subscribe to the channel kind of things you should do, so you get the notification. Yeah. Take care, stay healthy, see you next week. Bye-bye.